If you need help with your horse who is tense under saddle, what you really need is a suppling strategy that is unique to their personality type. We're going to be unpacking 4 different strategies for helping your horse to become less tense under saddle and more soft and supple, both mentally and physically. And we're going to be doing it all in just a couple of minutes, so stick with me. If you're new here, I'm Ruby. I'm a whole horse stewardship trainer, and I have helped horses and humans over the past decade plus to have a deeper bond and better relationship. Many of them just like you, looking for answers. And today we're just going to be talking about something that is so common. I see it all the time, and it's just the concept of tension in our horses. I am joined today by my boomerang horse, Olive. She's enjoying a nice roll. She was cast this morning, so she's especially enjoying a moment to just stretch out. So over my last decade of helping people and horses, something that I've noticed is that there's 4 base personalities, and these 4 base personalities need very different approaches to almost everything we do with our horses. And so if you're curious what personality type your horse or you are, you can take the quiz linked below, and that'll help you to kind of determine what personality we're dealing with so that you know how to better use this video. So the most important thing we need to talk about is tension in the body results from a couple of different things. And in the different personality types, it might result from different things. But generally, it comes from either from some kind of either physical or psychological disconnect. And so either your horse is physically not able to give you what you're asking for, or it's uncomfortable for them and they don't have the strength for it. And that's really going to be something that you're going to have a trained eye take a look and see where that might be stemming from. If it's physically based, that's not really something I can tell you without actually seeing you with your horse. But if it's psychological, which would be like they're confused or they're feeling stressed out, they're feeling a lot of like mental pressure, workload pressure, then that could also result in tension in the body, which can make it really hard to build that strength and to build the throughness and the connection and all those things that we're looking for. So if that's the case, if you feel like your horse is having a hard time softening because they're feeling maybe overwhelmed or stressed, or for some reason their brain is getting in the way of their body's ability to move freely forward and softly, that's what we're going to be talking about. So the first type, the first personality type, is what I call the feelers. These are the horses that are very, very sensitive, but they're not particularly bold. They tend to be very quiet. And so these are the horses that tend to be, I kind of also call them like the internalizers. If they're not in balance, so if they're feeling stressed, they can sort of feel a little bit like they are just feet in the air. They sort of feel a bit like they are like kind of like bubbling and building tension, and like they might kind of explode to the moon. A lot of times they actually don't explode to the moon, but you can kind of feel that rising as you're riding them. And so the biggest thing with these horses is that they really need to go slowly and thoughtfully. And so if you have a horse that's a feeler and they have a lot of tension when you get on, the best thing you can do is start with just some big, slow circles, long rein, stretchy neck. And it feels counterintuitive because especially when we start to feel that tension and that bubbling, our body's instinct is to tighten up and to have shorter reins and to clench our butt cheeks and to like stick. But what would actually be best for this horse would be for you to sort of set an example of like taking deep breaths, sitting deeply, releasing your reins long and forward. Not so long that if they did take off, you don't have rein, because we definitely want breaks, but nice long forward rein, swinging hips, really showing your horse like this is how relaxed we can be in this exercise. And just start with some like big figure eights. Anytime we're doing a circle and then we're kind of changing the bend and doing a circle the other way, that really helps to get their brain and body relaxed and supple for the exercise to come. So whenever I'm on a feeler, I try to not do any straight lines for the warm up, long and low, forward, free moving, and only then I move on to the harder work. If you have the horse that is what I call an achiever, such as this lovely lady, these are the horses that are very ambitious. They tend to be competitive. They're also very sensitive, and they're super bold and brave. These horses, if they're getting tense, it's often because they're getting in their own head and they're starting to overthink, and they're starting to like almost be kind of like self-critical, like they're kind of feeling the pressure. And especially if you are also a competitive person, you might be inadvertently asking more of them than what they're ready for, or they might be pushing themselves further than what they're ready for. And so the best thing with an achiever like this is to toggle between a challenging task and then back to a confidence building task. So we're going to go, like, we'll use the same warm up. We might immediately start kind of with a little bit higher demand to get their brain on board. So it might be like lots of transitions, smaller circles, leg yielding, lateral work, all at the walk, of course, to let their body warm up. But we're not kind of walking around the long rein. We're immediately giving them a job to get their brain on board. And then once their brain is on board, then we're going to start to slow down and relax. And we might start doing those bigger, wider circles. And then if they kind of start to get bored of that, then we're going to increase the pressure. We're going to ask lots of questions again, and then back to kind of a slower, more methodical warm up. And we're kind of toggling between these two to kind of give them a little bit of a push, a little bit of pressure, followed by kind of a slow, peaceful moment to relax and integrate all of that work that they did. And so we're always kind of like finding that line of how much pressure can you handle here without getting stressed. Now, the third type are what I call cruisers. And these are the type that tend to be, they kind of get the reputation for being stubborn, kind of lazy, stick in the mud types. Thanks for the hug, Olive. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. And these are the types that are, they don't have a lot of ambition. These are the types that are happy to just like go slow. There's the types that you can like get on once a week and they're totally fine. They're not particularly competitive or ambitious. And so if you have one of these horses that's experiencing tension, a lot of times it's because they're feeling overworked or overwhelmed and all they need is a break. And so these horses, I might start with just like a long rein kind of hack. And this horse, like straight lines are fine. They're not gonna, you don't need to give their brain a task. You don't need to particularly worry about suppling. So just doing like lots of long rein, loose walking, not asking anything of them. And with these horses, I often also like to start with a hack. So we're not just walking around circles in the arena where they get kind of bored. We're doing something that's a little more engaging for the brain. And then once their body's warmed up, then we're going right to something a little bit more activating, but easy. So straight line transitions, or we're going like forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward if you have like a cow horse type, or if you have like a dressage horse or a jumper, we might be going walk, canter transitions right away once their body's a little more warm. And that's going to get their brain kind of turned on and activated and curious. And then that's where then we can go into our the rest of our work after that. So if you have a horse that is the kind of lazy type and they're experiencing tension, a lot of times it's just because you asked too much too soon and you didn't kind of give them a reason to wake up and be present. So we're going to think about that strategy. And then finally, if you have the type that I call a voyager, which is they're very curious by nature, they want to go do things, they want to go check things out. A lot of times with these horses, if you take them right in the arena, they kind of get stuck and stand. And so these horses are the ones that do best if you go exploring or you come in the arena and make it exciting. So you start with obstacles at the walk, obviously getting them warmed up. You're starting with like lots of like a nice hack. I even had a student one time that I would have her just go out on, we have like a little trail here that's very flat and sandy, and I have her just go walk, trot, canter out there and then come in and her horse is ready to focus. But a lot of times they just need something to pique their interest, to be exciting, to build curiosity, and they want to go do something. They're very active types. So I hope that was helpful. There's lots more resources where that came from. Make sure to take the quiz below because that'll also give you a lot more information about your specific horse. And until next time, make sure to hug your horse for me.